gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. Friday, May 30th, TGIF. The weekend is nearly here. A beautiful Friday here in the Quad Cities as well. Excited about a good show to give you before we hit the weekend, and hopefully everyone has good plans and enjoys themselves a good weekend as well. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Also tell a friend or two about what we're doing every day, every weekday right here in the Quad Cities Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We're also live on X as well. X, always very good to us. So if you're watching on X, we appreciate that. And then, of course, the show can be seen on all of your podcasting platforms as well. Listen to, I guess, on all of your podcasting platforms as well. So check out the show and all the shows this past week. Download them, check them out if you're traveling this weekend, if you're heading to youth baseball like I am and all over when it comes to Iowa. I got one kid in Waterloo, one kid in Des Moines. So I'm going to be making that triangle throughout the weekend in the state of Iowa. So always great if you're in the car to download Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A lot of fun stuff this past week as well. Speaking of this week, on Tuesday, we had Josh Schuler on, one of my favorite interviews I've gotten to do. He's the head strength and conditioning coach for the Detroit Lions. He's a Muscatine native from right here in our area. Great journey to get to where he's at. So check that out. Also on Tuesday, we had Jake Gervais talking about the Rally for Reed camp and Assumption head coach, track coach, Tim O'Neill, as he just wrapped up his 25th and final season at the helm over at Assumption. Wednesday was Pat Anger, Steam Wheeler Wednesday. Also Bam Pastelnik from United Township, another legend over at UT, retiring at the end of the school year. And then yesterday, the Layman girls celebrating another sectional championship. Madison Austin, the Don Morris Award winner on the female side from Sterling. And then Larry Hawley joined me to talk a little Bears football and Caleb Williams and all that kind of fun stuff. So if you missed any of the shows this week, go check them out once again throughout the weekend. You can check them out on YouTube, on Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it, or download them and check them out on the podcasting platform as well. Busy show to get to, fun show to get to on a Friday here in the Quad Cities. Coming up in a matter of moments, we'll be joined by my good friend, Tom Kakert, as he gets... or I should say, as the college football announced some times and some kickoff times for this season coming up. So we'll chat about that. We'll also chat some hoops as well. So Tommy Kakert coming up in a matter of moments. Yesterday, we talked about the John Deere Classic announcing some exemptions for this year. 3 young college stars coming to the Quad Cities. Andrew Lehman, our good buddy, the tournament director over at the John Deere Classic, will join us later on in hour number 1. And then also some big news yesterday in high school football. A very familiar name returning to the sidelines. Sherrard announcing that former Moline head coach Dan McGuire will be the new head football coach at Sherrard. We chased down Coach McGuire, and we had that interview coming up around 11 o'clock, somewhere in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll get to that. Fascinating stuff. Of course, Coach had a very successful high school coaching career, coached for about 25 years, 10 of them as the head coach at Moline, and had a ton of success. I want to say never had a losing season. 5-4 were the only 2 seasons that he didn't make the postseason. And nowadays, he probably would have made the postseason. And I think won 4 Western Big Six titles in those 10 years. So, and that was a really good time for Western Big Six football. You had Mike Tracy over at Layman, I believe, and UT in that area. You had Vic Boblet at Rock Island, Coach McGuire. over there at Moline. So interesting news to see him. Awesome news to see him get back on the sideline. We'll chat with him coming up in just a little bit. We mentioned the guest that we had this past week. Coming up next week, we're chasing down Illinois women's basketball coach and Clinton native Shauna Green. So that's something I'm looking forward to next week as well. But we start today talking a little Iowa athletics. Let's start our Friday with a familiar face, Tom Kakert. You almost got through a week without coming on OTA. But some things happened yesterday, Tommy. It was a busy day because in football, even a scheduled time is like a big deal, isn't it?
It is. It's water for somebody who's thirsty in a desert, where we're trying to kill time before August and obviously September when the real season gets going. So yeah, the start times, and we're kind of tired of talking about the college football playoff and all the other nonsense. It's basically content is what it is, and it's something for fans to talk about. And so we've got some start times, and we've got some ideas of where what time games are going to be played and where they're going to be played, what TV station you can watch it on.
So I got into a debate with our friend Pete because the NFL schedule came out. It was leaking out that day, and I'm excited, and he thought it was the dumbest thing. He's like, you already know who you're playing. What does it matter, what week time? And I love it because for me, it's like a respect thing. Like if you're getting those primetime games, you get more excited, all those kind of things. And I think it's the same with college football as well. To be in that, primetime games or the 2:30 games, they all mean something to me. Am I nuts?
The only thing it means to me personally is it impacts my travel.
Yep.
That's all. It's like now, with the Rutgers game, which had been rumored for a while to be on a Friday, just to see it confirmed that it's on a Friday. Now that alters my travel plans that week. So, you just have to adjust.
Is that a good thing, Tommy? Does that get you home earlier so you can watch more football during the weekend? Or do you like that?
I don't know. It also opens up the possibility that I could just stay in New York City on Saturday and hang out in the city.
You live a good life, Tom.
Which is, it's not a bad thing to do, to go to New York City and hang out for the day.
Yeah. No, I agree. What popped out first? Like when that gets announced, and to me it was the Iowa State.
Iowa State.
Big noon Friday or big noon.
Big noon. Yeah,
whatever they call it.
Big noon kickoff. Yeah, the big noon kickoff on Fox. Iowa State. I think that's what pops up to you. Nebraska game being at 11 a.m. kickoff on CBS, the SC game being a 2 or 2:30 kick, and that's another one where, if you're traveling out there, you could potentially even get a flight out of LA on Saturday night now if you wanted to, if you're covering the game. Because the stadium's not far from LAX, you could potentially, get back closer to home that day if you wanted to, or just hang out for another day.
You look at the beginning, and at the Albany game is at home. It's a 5 p.m. kick. Am I? And I might be wrong. Is this? I've never even remember an Iowa game starting at 5 p.m. Central Time. Is it super weird, or is there times you can come back to?
Yeah, I can't remember one, but it doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It's just different.
Yeah.
But that and the UMass game are night games, and we'll see what the rest of the schedule. But they've kind of at least in the last year or two, it feels like they've kind of went to that 6-day window with a lot of those games that are undetermined at this point, and that's kind of frustrating sometimes, especially if it's ends up being a night game, because if you're traveling, you have to book a hotel where say that like the Wisconsin game is on there, but for me traveling, if it's a 2:30 game, I'm just driving up that day and probably driving back that day. But if it's a 6:30 game, I might have to get a hotel room.
Yeah.
It's just I'm selfish. I just look at it from how it impacts me.
One thing it made me do. So, okay, those first two primetime games and the first or night games, if you call it night, I don't even know if the game gets over at 8, will it be night yet? Maybe, probably, but
yeah, it will be by September. Yeah.
Yeah. There's other chances throughout the schedule of more night games at Kinnick. Doesn't Penn State scream a night game, and doesn't Oregon possibly scream a night game as well?
Well, it depends what the rest of the schedule looks like for that weekend in the conference. So I'd encourage people also to check out the article that Scott Docterman wrote in The Athletic, because he's dialed in on this stuff way more than anybody I know, and he talked to all the main players in this. They should televise this. Would you watch it?
Yes. Yep. I'm a schedules guy. I'm a schedules guy.
They're drafting games.
Yeah.
There's a weirdo audience that would tune in for this.
Are you calling me a weirdo?
No, but it's just like a draft. It would be like, watching these groups pick the games. I think there's a niche audience that would enjoy this and be watching it and have some fun with it. They really should televise it.
No, I'm being fun. Serious. Absolutely, they should. They 100% should. I also think it's a big deal. I think if your team's playing at night, I think it's harder to play at night on the road. So if I'm playing Penn State, let's use Penn State, because Oregon, the travel and all that kind of stuff, there's different variables. But if I'm Penn State, I want to go play at Kinnick at 11 a.m. I don't want to go play at Kinnick at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Same thing if I'm Iowa. If I'm going out to Happy Valley, I don't want to play in Happy Valley at night. That's hard. That's harder. I think it makes a difference when it comes to how difficult your schedule or how advantageous your schedule can be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And on the flip side of that, Oregon's coming to Iowa City this summer or this fall. Do they want to play an 11 a.m. game? That would be 9 a.m. for them. Yeah. Like, I think the Washington game last year, I think was like that.
Yeah.
Body clock will be different.
Yep.
So, but a lot of those teams also practice in the morning too. So it's not as foreign to them as it might have been at one point in their lives.
Tom, another thing yesterday made me do was kind of look at the Iowa schedule for the first time in a while. And if you think Iowa is going to be decent or pretty good, it's a very doable schedule. When you look at getting Penn State at home, Oregon at home, there's some really fun home games. Yes, you have to go to Wisconsin. Yes, you have to go to Iowa State. Yes, you got to go to USC and then Nebraska at the end. Those are the 4 big road games. But if I told you didn't have to go to Ohio State or Penn State or Michigan and all that kind of stuff, like this, Oregon, like this is a very advantageous schedule for Iowa to possibly win 9-10 games, isn't it?
You know what I'd term it? It's a tougher schedule than last year, but it's a manageable tough schedule. I think there's some potholes potentially there. You always think about Ames being a potential pothole. Rutgers could be tricky. What's Indiana going to be? What's Indiana going to be like this year?
See, that's another one. I didn't even think, because Indiana's at Iowa, isn't it?
Yeah, it's at Iowa.
Yeah, you know what? I look at Indiana football, and I just went, oh, it's Indiana at home. It's homecoming. It'll probably be an 11 o'clock game. And and might not be because Indiana's good.
Yeah.
Will they be good again?
Yeah. That's the question. We don't know if it was a 1 year flash in the pan or is Kurt Cignetti the guy that builds Indiana football into a powerhouse?
You know who's Indiana
know.
this year, don't you?
Your Illini?
Everybody keeps telling me the Illini are going to be
Yeah,
that team.
but the Illini nobody had Indiana as a preseason
That's true.
top 20 team last year.
No, 100%.
Illinois is a top 20 preseason.
Yeah, they may be a top 15 the way things kind of look. What other thing was I going to talk to you about in football before we go into basketball? Is everything else just kind of like wait and see? Is it going to be the during the year, or is there another wave before during the year happens?
No, it's just everything else is that 6 or 12 day window.
Oh wow!
So, everything else is in that window.
Man, how you deal with it? Anger deals with it. Like you're not going to know.
Oh, he's got it made. I mean, all he has to do is show up for a private plane. They take him. I mean, he's got it made. That's the life, man.
Can't he take you with?
No.
You're telling me there's no room for you to like crouch down in the corner and just be quiet for a couple hours while you fly?
I couldn't crouch for a couple hours to begin with.
True.
I'm old.
That's true.
I'm old.
That's true. Well, I mean, he should think about those kind of things. So Iowa will play 1, 2, 3 Friday. No, 2 Fridays. And then how many buys are there? Are there 2 buys?
Yeah.
So you'll have 4 Saturdays off during the football season. That's not too bad.
Yeah. It's not terrible. And with the Nebraska game being at 11, I'll just drive home that night.
Yeah.
So I'll get home Friday, pick up my dogs from the doggy daycare, and
Look at
the
that.
dogs and I will watch football Saturday.
All right. I want to flip from football to basketball because the roster continues to get filled up. And then last week, Ashton Williamson commits to Iowa. FIU point guard, after his freshman season, goes to Iowa. And then yesterday, it was just the weirdest, never mind, we're good. No, we're not going to do that anymore. What happened there?
Iowa never announced his signing. So that was a little weird, but not unusual. I mean, sometimes those things just pop up. I mean, I knew that, for weeks that Tate Sage was going to be there, but it just took forever for them to announce it and for him to announce it. And then a couple weeks later, then they put it out there. It's just, everything is so weird with the portal thing. But yeah, and then you thought, well, maybe they're going to get back involved with the Kiza Giza, the point guard from High Point that visited, and then, literally wrote a post about, well, maybe they'll get back involved with him, and he commits to USC literally 10 minutes later. So, and USC was a school that he visited first. The kid was asking for so much crazy money that, I think he may have had to have a little discount sale. But it was interesting. I had Josh Sash on the podcast on Wednesday, and I asked him, "Are you guys done?" And he basically said, "Probably not. We'll probably maybe sign 1, maybe 2 more players." And I was like, "Whoa, that's interesting," because of where the numbers were. So maybe that was a flashing red light that something was brewing. But you've also changed the number to 15 if you want.
Oh, yeah.
For college basketball rosters. But I don't know that they're doing that. I think they're sticking at 13, which, anyway, and they're starting practice, I should say practice, workouts Monday. So next week they're going to start. So all their guys were reporting this weekend. And he basically kind of said, yeah, we could have some ideas about what we think we probably still need, but after about a week of practice, we will know exactly what we need,
Yeah.
more than likely. And that's absolutely true. And he, would point out it could be something totally different than what we think we need. We think we need a big, but maybe you come out of that and you go, boy, we need some shooting, or a guy who can handle the ball. And there's guys out there. There's not much of a big man market out there right now. The big men that are any good, that have size, true fives, are gone. There's just nobody that's any good out there right now.
Yeah.
I don't think. So that's the challenge. But he also indicated they have some resources still available from the pot of gold that they have.
Man. So can I ask you, how big was that pot this year?
I think it was more. It was under 6. I know that Miyakawa put out that thing where the roster value, and based on the roster value that he has for the players, that thing that was floating around that said Iowa spent $9.1 million and Indiana
So that was
spent
a
$10
value.
million. That was his. Evan is one of the best guys. There's 3 really good guys out there for the analytics stuff. Of course, my guy Ken Palm,
Drink.
Bart Torvik. Yeah, drink.
It's
drink
water.
Drink your stuff. Drink your stuff, Wheezy. And then Evan. Evan does a great job. Those 3 guys are terrific in my mind in doing the analytics side of things. And so Evan kind of built this database thing of all the guys in the portal and what their value should be based on their performance. So that's where he is getting that number of $9.1 million. So it's not actually what Iowa spent, it's the value. So if you want to look at it that way, Iowa did some really good value shopping this year. So,
and I think they're going to need to continue probably to do that as well, right?
Yeah. The hope is that, I think what Iowa's hope is that the House case gets settled. They establish some sort of what would amount to be a salary cap, so everybody's playing with the same field of money, and that it evens out. So you're really recruiting players again instead of just like highest bidder stuff. But anyone who believes that, good luck. I'm glad that you believe that things like that will exist,
and it could happen. It could happen, but it's not going to be followed. If that makes any sense.
No,
you can make up an but now that money's changing hands,
and you can have your clearinghouse and all these other things. It is, things are still going to change hands. It's
100%.
It's just the way the world, in many ways, the way things have been done the last couple of years, while being the wild, wild west, at least there's some level of transparency. There's contracts, things like that are being signed with collectives and such that hold both parties accountable. So we may be headed back to the wild, wild west where it was bags of cash in grocery bags just showing up at the doorstep of somebody.
Who was it? Somebody told me and I'm not going to put any names to it or anything, but basically showing up at a casino.
Pete.
No, but it was basically showing up to a casino, and I know the names in my head, and I know the player was, but dad pulled the slot on a casino machine, and they won. Because they won and they end up going there. So it's funny you mentioned
it was a Illini player, wasn't it?
No, easy. It was last year. No, it's funny because you mentioned I was communicating with Cooper Koch and about my dad's golf outing, and he was mentioning like he's got to get on campus and find out who golfs, like then that made me realize like, man, like he might as well be at a different college. Yes, he knows the classes in the area and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to like the actual staff and players and all that kind of stuff, he's just as new as anybody else is. In fact, he's less new because there's more continuity with all the Drake guys and the staff than there is
6 Drake players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
With Matt Doney joining the team, the forward that committed this past week. And by the way, I was talking to Josh Sash about him too, and he said they almost took the red shirt off that kid last year because he was doing so good in practice. So
really,
I think they like what he can do and his potential. So we'll see what it looks like. But yeah, they've got 6 guys, and that's going to be beneficial starting next week because all those guys know exactly what to expect. They can teach the new guys how to do things, and they can help lead the team in a better way. Especially Bennett Sturts, because he's the one guy that was there at Northwest Missouri State too. So he's experienced it for 3 years. So they're going to lean on him, I think, pretty heavily to kind of guide this team and be that leader on and off the floor.
So Pat and I have talked about it, and coming up next week, we're going to do a joke swap. I'm going to read jokes that he wrote for me to read and vice versa. And we need a moderator, and you have become said moderator. You've already rejected one of mine.
I can get both of you guys fired and canceled.
I don't think you can. Yeah, canceled, but you can't get me fired.
I can't fire you.
Yeah.
I can cancel you though.
Yeah, and I don't want to have that. But with that being said, you already rejected one of mine, and I put one on the group text that Pat's seen that you would have rejected as well. Can you tell us, have you rejected any of Pat's?
I did reject one.
Wow. Okay. So he has to do another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I may have helped him write one.
You kind of helped me write one too.
Yeah.
You just gave me a subject, and I did a pretty good job working it, but.
Well, ChatGPT works really well for jokes.
Do you feel like he's going to win or I'm going to win? Or would you rather not say?
I'm not going to say. I'm going to be an independent. I don't want to taint the jury.
Are we dumb for doing this? Or are we going to be okay on the other end?
I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
None of them are bad.
But they'll make.
How are you going to deliver them to each other? You're going to put them in like
sealed envelope,
hermetically sealed envelope, and just have them. You have to open it up and read them.
Yeah, I think I might do like 3 different ones. I might have you, when they're all said and done, I might have you send them to Larry, and I'm gonna have Larry print them off and seal them and put them in an envelope, and then I'll get them to Pat sometime over the weekend. I don't know where his kids are playing. God, my kids are going to Waterloo and to Des Moines. Ugh. So maybe he's in one of those spaces, and I can get it to him. If not, I'll run over. He's got this huge mansion over there. It's crazy. So I mean, I'll swing by the mansion and deliver it. So I'm excited about it.
Huge mansion, and he barely works.
I know, he doesn't do anything. While
Golf.
you're here,
Yeah.
You've covered Jake Gervais's Rally for Reed thing, and I kind of want to bring it up. So
awesome.
It's a good way to bring it up with you there, where you here. Rallyforreed.org. Get signed up. You've been there several years. I'm going to probably try to do the show there this year and have some fun out there and interview some guys out there and all that kind of stuff. But great event, great cause.
Yeah, it is. Jake was on here this past week, and he does such a great job promoting this and having his old teammates show up and help out at the camp and teach kids a little bit about football, but it also raised a lot of money. What did he say? It was like he's got like $300,000.
Yeah, they're hoping to get over $300,000 this year, which is awesome.
It's not bad for a guy who who played the last exhibition game last year, played like 80 snaps and then got cut the next day.
Not too bad.
That's still one of my favorites. They brought him in like 24 hours before the Viking game. Told him he's going to go out there and play safety for like 80 snaps. Plays all 80 snaps, and then they cut him.
I remember that. He said, and go back and listen to Jake if you want to. He was on Tuesday, but he mentioned he's like he was bitter for a little while, but he's in a good spot now with football and all that kind of stuff. So, great dude, really a good human being. So go to rallyforreed.org, check that out, and get signed up.
Yeah.
And if you have a daughter, or you can do the Spirit Camp as well. If you want to make a donation, please do that as well. If you're sitting here and you're listening to this and you're in your 60s or 70s and don't have any kids or grandkids that are relevant to doing this kind of stuff, and you want to just help out, do that as well. Make a donation. It all goes to a great cause and celebrates an awesome young man in Reed Gleason and the legacy that he left behind, who left us way too soon. So do that ASAP. So.
Hey, and there's if people are going to be in Des Moines this weekend, I think June 1st, Cooper DeJean is having a softball game, I think, at Principal Park. I think
Really?
somewhere. Yeah, he's got AJ Brown's going to be there, and a bunch of guys from Philly. Riley Moss is going to be there.
Riley's coming to the JDC.
JDC with Hawk, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Coop's going to be there. I was also told by a source this week that Coop will be golfing at the Zach Johnson charity event on June 30th up in Cedar Rapids.
Really? So,
Yeah.
And coming up in the next segment, I think our good friend Andrew Lehman's going to join me. So I'm going to bring that up to him because I know he's been efforting. Last time he was on the show, he announced Hawkinson and Riley Moss, and he said he was still holding out hope that he could get Cooper DeJean to come down here as well. So
Coop's the man of the moment right now, man.
Yeah, he is.
That dude's everywhere. He's at UFC events. He's everywhere.
He should have been a Detroit Lion. Could have been a Detroit Lion.
Should have been a Chicago Bear.
No. How weird was that Caleb Williams stuff this week, right?
I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't
I know,
pay any attention to
Well,
it.
he finally just talked about the whole book. So it's fine. I'm just trying to pick at you a little bit. Ben Johnson's there. All things are good. Bears in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. Why not?
I want to throw the bottle at you right now, but I can't. So, all right, Tommy. I appreciate your time. Go ahead.
Few people are more obsessed with the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams than an Alliance fan.
I'm not obsessed with Caleb. I'm right about all Bear quarterbacks. I've been right about every single one of them from the jump. And what I'm saying about this one is there's no reason to crown him, no reason to bash him. He's done nothing. I would be more leery than anything else because I think he's a little bit nutso. Is that okay? Like, is that? I just think he's a little bit of a prima donna. I think he's a little bit maybe talented, but I don't know if it's all there up top. But anyways, that's for the fall. Tommy will argue about all that kind of stuff in the fall. It'll be fun. So the one thing that will not go up here, and I even got an Illini helmet up here, but the one thing that will not go up here is a Bears helmet.
Well, you're an Illini fan. Yeah,
hey,
I may start boycotting.
I am simply a unbiased media member. I have been for 25 years. I have no reading interest.
Well, then you
in
wouldn't
that
mind.
team or that
Then you
team.
wouldn't mind having a bear. Then you wouldn't mind having a Bears helmet up there.
No, I loathe the Bears. I loathe them.
That doesn't matter.
No, it does. It does. So, all right, Tommy, get out of here. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, buddy. That is Tom Kakert talking about the big schedule reveal or something along those lines yesterday when it came to college football. There are some game times. Iowa having some night games. 2 of the first 3 at home are at night. They got a couple Friday games as well. So that'll continue to fill out. And then we'll find out throughout the season the rest of them as they go. So we got more to get to. You're watching a Friday edition of Off the Air. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Saturday night, June 14th, the Steamwheelers face off against the Parade in an IFL battle that's going to rock the vibrant arena. And it's Digital Bobblehead Night, presented by XUSD Blockchain. All fans in attendance with an active MetaMask digital wallet will score a limited edition Steamwheelers NFT bobblehead, a one-of-a-kind collectible you can't get anywhere else. High-flying IFL action and digital collectibles? Now that's next-level game night. Grab your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Man, the John Deere Classic is right around the corner, 33 days away. It's like 33 days, 3 hours, 3 minutes, something like that. I just looked at the countdown clock. It's a countdown clock that if I was the tournament director, like I'd be anxious about it. But this guy, he's sitting back in his cush office, as happy as can be, just letting everybody else do all the work. Andrew Lehman joins us now. Hi, friend.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm great. It's 33 days away. Is that
not really? I mean, that countdown takes us to Wednesday, Pro-Am Day, the first day we opened our gates. So our staff is actually operating with 31 days left. Oh, geez, that makes you put the pressure on your team, don't you? I want to talk about the exemptions in a second, but I want to start with that countdown. Is that, like, I'll go to the website, I see it, I know it, we used to have it back at the station and all that kind of stuff. Do you guys have a countdown? Do you, like, walk into the office every day and say, like, 31 days away? Or what's the vibe like there? Well, there's no WWE yelling that goes on in this office, but no, we're very aware of what's, what that looks like, and you can't go a day here without somebody mentioning how many days it is. It's fun because the media day is Monday. We'll talk about that too. But yesterday comes word, the announcement of the exemptions, and 3 really, really good golfers. Before we talk about them specifically,
It is. It's the exemptions and the John Deere Classic go hand in hand. Obviously, the headline is the Jordan Spieths and Bryson DeChambeau's and that kind of stuff. But it's not just the guys have gone on to win and have great careers. It's something that this tournament takes a lot of pride in. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple decade long tradition of the tournament. Goes back to Kim Huffam when this event moved to TPC Deere Run, and then, ultimately Claire Peterson, who did an unbelievable job of identifying the next wave of young talent. And what I think is at the forefront is these collegiate guys are so good. The athletic programs, the resources that these top collegiate programs have set these kids up for success to come out and compete, whether that's a Korn Ferry Tour start or a PGA Tour start. So, you mentioned Jordan Spieth, Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, Victor Hovland, Colin Morikawa, guys like that have gotten their starts here. And you can look back at a guy in 2023. Ultimately, he didn't end up needing a sponsor exemption, but we had committed to Ludwig Aubert really early in the process, and then he goes on to win PGA Tour U and doesn't need a spot. But you look back at last year, Luke Clanton, as an exemption, finishes tied for second here, in the Quad Cities, and has a great week, and then ultimately takes that momentum and continues to play well throughout, the other professional starts he got. And, he's going to have a PGA Tour card waiting for him through the PGA Tour Accelerated program. So you look at it, you try to, identify certainly talented young individuals, but more important than that, we want to form relationships with these guys and hopefully, have a chance to get them back when they do, go on to win a US Open or a PGA Championship and go on to stardom. So we think that these three, Michael Lasasso, your NCAA champion from Ole Miss, Jackson Koiven, who's got an unbelievable story. His dad grew up here in the Quad Cities in Moline. And he's going to be, as soon as Luke Clanton turns professional, he'll be the number one ranked amateur in the world. And then, Ben James from Virginia, who's ultimately going to be the second ranked amateur in the world. These guys are ready to compete, and they've shown that by playing in professional events and have gone on to do a lot of nice things already.
You look at those three names. Is it difficult when you get a list, or I don't know if you make a list or whatever you do, but it's not just these three. There's selections you have to make. Is it difficult? Is it take me through the process, if you can, a little bit inside your thought process of different stories as well. It's not just numbers, it's stories, I think, as well.
Well, it's a good thing you don't have a Zoom capability, because you could read the board behind me. There's some names on there. But we probably get somewhere between 80 and 90 sponsor exemption requests. We've got 8 to work with. 4 are unrestricted. We can give those to whoever we want. 2 have to go to veterans, guys that have won PGA Tour events throughout their career. And then there's another category that you kind of have to watch how the field comes together, because most years those come back to us as unrestricted. And we'll probably announce 2 more young guys here in the next week or two, and then choose to support 3 veterans that have supported us over the years.
I'm trying to read behind you. Did my name even get up on the list?
It didn't. We did get your letter from your agent, but it's funny. Claire, we had a pile, right? That you kind of keep track of them. Here's the amateur guys. Here's the guys that are veterans. Which guys fit into what category. And ultimately, Claire would sometimes get one addressed to Miss Peterson, and those always got put at the bottom of the pile. I don't know if I should share that story.
No, but you're not just joking. I've heard that before. I think Claire's mentioned that before. That's probably.
Oh, it's yeah.
All of them say to Mr. Andrew Lehman, correct?
No one's confused me yet for that piece of the puzzle, but. It's a hard process. Those are fun phone calls to make for the guys that you're able to take care of, but it's way less fun having the conversations with the guys that ultimately you have to say no to. And there's some talented guys that are deserving of spots, and you only have so many to work with. And throughout the process, sometimes you just hear from an agent. They're all represented by agents now through NIL deals. They all have agency representation. The guys that reach out and try to start their own relationship, those are valuable conversations. I had a call yesterday with a young player that lasted 17 minutes, and he just asked a ton of thoughtful questions. How does a PGA Tour field get put together? I mean, and that's not 17 minutes to describe that process, but a lot of these young guys have brands already. They've got social media presences with 1 million followers or whatever. And I think when you look at professional golf, certainly, and then you've got this whole new wave of online golf, the good guys, those guys that are all on YouTube. It's funny because I can sit down and watch a broadcast on Sunday and watch, Sepp Straka win his second PGA Tour event of the year. My 14-year-old cannot watch the broadcast with me, but at the end of the day, he can tell me exactly what happened because they're consuming, the content in such a different platform, and they're getting it in clips, almost like the Sunday Red Zone, right, for the NFL. And
sure.
It's just, you have to be really mindful of that, of the next wave of ticket purchasers for the John Deere Classic are consuming their media in a different way.
That's extremely good point. Andrew Lehman joining us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Hey, so take me through some of the, and I'm blanking, but it was a few years ago. There was a really cool phone conversation that you had, and they were thrilled. I can't remember who it was, but you told me about it. So really bad example, but let me get back to the point. What are those phone calls like? And I'm sure you've had some really cool phone calls. Hopefully that triggered something that made you remember something, but it's got to be cool to call a guy and say, hey, this is what you're going to do. And you get to do it. This is a dream for most of these guys.
Yeah, it is. And for, Luke Clanton, right? I mean, he finished top 10 last year in Detroit. We actually thought we might get that exemption back because guys who top 10 the week prior, automatically, if they haven't gotten into your field, they get into your field. Well, that doesn't translate for an amateur. So we still, used a spot on Luke last year, but his run really started in Detroit last year, played well that week, obviously, finishes tied for second here and goes on to have just an unbelievable run to get his card. David Ford, Florida kid, he's also going to get his card. But like right now, you look back, Gordon Sargent, he got a card. He was an exemption of ours in 2023. He's got a PGA Tour card now waiting for him, and he's in our field. He's going to come back here. Michael Thorbjornsen was another one of those young guys. And, it's fun. You try to follow their career as closely as you can and things that they're doing. And they could be playing on the Korn Ferry Tour, or they may be playing on, down in South America, and you try to stay in touch with it. It's fun to get follow-up emails or texts from these guys that, hey, I played really well this week. Here's what happened. And, I think our brand proposition with exemptions is well-known in this marketplace, but it's also well-known with the agents and the young guys. They understand the rich history of young players getting their start here at the John Deere Classic.
Jason Fechner still holds a grudge against Claire Peterson for not considering him into the field. I don't want that to happen with us. So did you fully take into consideration my ability, or did you just kind of toss it to the bottom like I misaddressed you as the wrong gender or something like that?
No, that's not what ultimately kept you down. It was the fact that we had to weigh. There was a really good chance you were going to have Pat Anger caddy for you. And that kind of, I'm not quite sure we were going to get that one across the finish line.
Nobody's ready for that. Before, way off subject, we're going to do a joke swap next week. Do you know that?
I heard that.
It's exciting. I'm afraid that I might not be welcome to the John Deere Classic after he has me say some of the things I say, but you never know.
That's fine. I'm happy to just not watch that episode. We'll tune in later.
Yeah, that's good. Andrew Lehman joining us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I want to talk about a few of these. You mentioned Michael Lasasso, the national champion, but you mentioned Jackson Quaven. And you mentioned Dad grew up in the Quad Cities. Kind of tell us a little bit about his story, because obviously Quad Cityans flock to Quad Cityans, if that makes any sense. And that's a local interest that I think is going to be really cool. Yeah,
we're still diving into the details of that. word is that Dad moved away sometime in his early 20s. I believe Jackson was born in California before they ultimately moved, to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He's a kid that swept all 4 of the major collegiate awards as a freshman, at Auburn. He won the Fred Haskins Award for the most outstanding golfer, basically the Heisman Trophy of collegiate golf. He won the Jack Nicklaus Award, which is Player of the Year. He won the Phil Mickelson Award, most outstanding freshman, and then the Ben Hogan Award, which is the Golf Association Coaches Award for the best golfers. So, he's already well on his way to, stardom at some point when he ultimately turns professional. And, I think it was like 40 some years, the last SEC golfer, and don't quote me on that, but like 40 some years was the last time an SEC golfer, had won back-to-back conference titles. So, he's going to be fun to get to know. And you're right. We're going to make sure that we tell that story about his roots to the Quad Cities. He's actually been to the Quad Cities a handful of times for family reunions.
Oh, wow.
So it won't be his maiden voyage to, it may be his maiden voyage to TPC Deer Run, but not his maiden voyage to the Quad Cities.
That's very cool. That is extremely cool. When you look at, and last one on the exemptions, and then I got a few more things to talk to you about, but you look at, gosh, I can remember Victor Hovland being here, and that group, gosh, it was Hovland, Matthew Wolf, and Morikawa. Is that correct? Is those,
Yep.
and there was one other?
2019.
Who else was with them?
Could have been Justin Suh.
Yeah, I think it was. But you went to the, and I guess you can gamble on sports. That's just a rumor I heard about. You went to the odds that week, and Victor Hovland was the odds-on favorite to win the John Deere Classic. And we asked him
I remember your question to him.
Yes, it still reigns supreme because it's lay off the weed, which is fantastic.
Lay off the weed, man.
Yeah, but like he was, and like I'm not saying that these 3 will be favored to win the John Deere Classic, but it will not surprise me if one of these 3 end up in the top 5, top 10, top 20. Correct?
No, they're all very capable of playing, well, and it's not going to surprise us to see that happen either. Right now, we've got 7 top 50 guys ranked in the world in our field. That's a thing that we're trying to do a better job of, is getting as many of those guys in the field as possible. The date around the 4th of July, although there's a ton of really cool things happening based around the 4th of July, it is a hard date. And so you have to, you've got the jet to the Scottish Open where we're taking guys over again. That certainly is helping. And as the fields get stronger, there are guys that look at that and, hey, so-and-so's in the field and it's getting better. We're going to sign up to play that week. We just got Denny McCarthy on the commitment list last week. And that's a guy that I put my hands on his shoulders last year and I said, Denny, you're going to be standing here someday with this trophy. He plays well here every year.
He is.
And he would be an unbelievable champion. But we've been blessed with a number of great champions that have, carried our banner for the year. Davis Thompson has done an unbelievable job. He's played well. He's been playing in the signature events. So it'll be fun to, albeit different with a virtual media day on Monday, it'll be fun to talk to him and hopefully relive, what was ultimately an unbelievable week for him in his professional journey.
A virtual media day, but also a media day that returns to Deer Run and returns golf to the media. Hats off to you, my friend.
Oh, thanks. I didn't know if there was more to that statement,
No,
if you were going to keep elaborating.
Well, I'm trying to think. You took it away and then you gave it back, right?
Whoa. We took it away.
There's
we and there's me and there's I. And
who's we?
We haven't had golf probably since the pandemic. So I was still working for. He is 3-0 against me in the online vote. I'd like to be asked that question myself to maybe get myself on the board. But
you can't vote for yourself.
It's fun because the media is going to get a chance to play Deer Run on Monday. And this place, Jonathan Graham and Todd Hyduke and their staffs do an unbelievable job. And it's been a good stretch of weather. I haven't played golf in 5 weeks, so I can't tell you what the course is like. But as I sit here and watch and listen to guys out my window, it sounds like people are having a great time.
Speaking of things I can hear at my window, my kids are off school, so there's a little fighting, a little grass being mowed, a whole bunch of stuff going on over here at the Randazzo household. Hopefully nobody can hear it out there. Nobody's fighting too loud. A couple more for you. You haven't golfed in a minute, you said. It'd be a shame if you just came out and golfed in the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing, which still has a couple teams still available. I'm just saying.
Well, my son's toe is still semi-broken, so if you want me to snap it again, maybe I can skip baseball that weekend and join you.
When you said snap it again, did you break his toe the first time?
No, he decided to play a game of indoor cricket apparently at a buddy's house, and let me just tell you, the 5'2" kid with size 10.5 shoes apparently ran his foot into something and broke a toe. So,
jeez, 10.5, man alive. Okay, you have 31 days. Is there anything like when in your mind, what's top priority, or what are the things on the top of your mind right now as you get ready for the John Deere Classic?
It's the one thing you can't control, and that's weather. The build started here 2.5 weeks ago. Things are going well on the golf course. I think for us, from a competition standpoint, we'll get through U.S. Open week here in a couple of weeks, and guys will start to adjust schedules based off of U.S. Open, whether they're in, whether they played well, they didn't play well. I know we've got some fun player announcements coming down the pipeline here, and hopefully the next week or two. We'll announce a couple more exemptions, and then it's really the storytelling of everything that goes on tournament week with having TJ Hawkinson and Riley Moss here for the Wednesday Pro-Am. We've got Lisa Bluter, Coach Bluter's here on Tuesday for an executive Women's Day event, which is already sold out. So that'll be a packed house for her. You turn your attention to the competition starting on Thursday and Friday, and Friday is the 4th of July. You've got, a partnership with the Firecracker Run and Joe Marino. We've got Folds of Honor Friday, a ton of military activations that are happening throughout the week. And ultimately, it ends up with Saturday, Sunday with a packed house and concerts to end it. And, Dierks Bentley and Zach Brown Band, if you have seen them live, they put on unbelievable shows. So it's going to be another fun week here. And but the one thing that does keep us all up at night is the one thing we can't control, and that's weather. So
those darn weather guys
we'll take 40 more days just like today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned the Joe Moreno thing and the Firecracker, great partnership. Why don't you, how about a cool story? How about you run the Firecracker as the tournament director and then go out and direct the John Deere Classic? Like, talk about what do you think?
Well, I'm happy to do that. That's fine. I don't mind a 5K. If you ask me to run more than 3.1, I'm out.
I was going to say 10K. There is a 10K option.
No, see, I ran the Bix once. I'm never doing that again. I ran the Bix without training. I did break an hour, by the way.
There you go.
So no, as long as you don't put me with Joe, out there on a 5K course, I'm good.
He's amazing. He is amazing. We're going to get Joe Moreno on the show.
I know you have a great relationship with him, and this is year 2 of our partnership with their run, and anytime you can be associated with something Joe Moreno's got his hands on, you're in pretty good company. So look for a press release coming out on that. But all their runners get access to a free ticket to the John Deere Classic on Thursday and Friday, and then their runners also get discount codes from us. So.
The only thing they ask is that you shower before you come out to the course. Like, just jump in the shower after the run and then get out in the course and do all those kind of things.
We got a couple ponds out here that are pretty clean. So
no, they're not. That's not true.
They're not.
You know I was in the pond on 18 one time, don't you?
You were?
Have you ever seen that video?
No,
I got to find it.
I'd love it.
So it was for the breakfast. I think the John Deere Classic breakfast. I think we used to put together like a goofy skit and stuff, and it was Neil Castor days. Were you here when Neil Castor was here?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did a Happy Gilmore spoof. And
you were the caddy.
We started fighting and rolled down the hill, and then he punched me, and I jumped into the pond.
Hey, by the way, that pond's pretty deep.
It's disgusting. It was one of the top 3 disgustingest things I ever did, like in my life, easily. And I had to hit it. I had to nail it because you couldn't do it again. You know what I mean? It's not like you could get out soaking wet with sludge and mud. I got to find that. I'll see if I can get somebody to find it. By
the way, I'm really glad you haven't grown a third ear or something, because there's a ton of copper sulfate in that pond.
A third ear? Was that an ear comment? Was that an ear jab? I can't. This head can.
Well, I mean, there are jokes. You're going to have an entire episode of jokes next week, so that's the opening joke.
My neck can barely support holding up these two. Don't add another one. My Lord.
Do you need those headphones, or do you just do that to cover your ears up on this show?
It's actually worse because there's a slight echo in my ear. So every so often, like, I'll get a little, and like even my kids will be like, "Dad, you stumbled a lot." I'm like, "Well, no, like I can hear myself echoing my ear." But I always said this, like, I'm a 7, I'm a 10. No.
I'm sorry, I was frozen there for a second.
by my beauty. So, all right. Well, this is getting off track. And sometimes as I speak like this to either yourself or Pat Anger, I forget that others are watching. And so I'm going to dial it back in before I get myself in trouble. But I'll see you on Monday. Are you golfing?
No, we've got something really, and I can't tell you about it, but here's a little something fun. We're going to do something fun on Monday afternoon with an announcement with somebody who's going to play in the Pro-Am. So, and I did catch the end of your Tommy Kakert piece, and we did not get Cooper DeJean. So
I didn't want to ask. You didn't mention it. So next year we got to make that happen. Did Zach big time
he's
you?
Definitely got. Well, say that again.
Did Zach big time you by getting him to come to his and not yours?
You know, Zach dials into our executive committee meetings, and I think he stole our idea to get him to Cedar Rapids. No, he's it'll be fun to get him over there to Zach's event on Monday. He had something else going on that week, so we're going to work on that one for next year and go from there. But this is turning into I'm starting to take a lot of flack based on all the Iowa athletes that end up here, and now Coach Luter. So
what
as I stare at my Iowa State diploma.
Have you, and what about Illinois? Like maybe Big Bert, get Coach Bielema up here to swing the clubs a little bit. He's probably busy.
That'd be fun. We had somebody reach out about Coach Bielema, and I would only have one request. He would have to play in shorts that day because we got to see the Tiger Hawk tattoo.
That's well done. So you're not going to tell us what the announcement on Monday afternoon is? Huh? Nobody's listening. It's just you and me.
It's somebody's going to be surprised. We'll say it that way. So we're gonna do a little reveal on Monday for something that's going to be pretty fun.
I love it. He's Andrew Lehman, looking just as relaxed as can be in his gorgeous office. Hopefully you guys zoomed in and checked out the board behind him.
I got 7 great people doing all the work. I just sit back here. I got the memorial on the TV and chat with guys like you.
I love it. I will see you on Monday, my friend. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes, sir. Thanks, buddy.
All right. That is Andrew Lehman, the tournament director out at the John Deere Classic, 33 days away, 31, however you want to do it. Just now that he's gone and I don't have to they just do such a good job. Like everybody, the staff, the course, Todd Heiduch himself, Andrew, they just do an awesome job out at the John Deere Classic. The best week of the summer, the best week of the year, and it's coming very, very soon. So we're just getting warmed up on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Up next, some fun high school football news yesterday. Dan McGuire, former Moline head coach, stepped down at Moline in 2000, is now the head coach at Sherrard 25 years later. We're going to chat with him about the adventure back to the coaching world right after this. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Friday.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves.
Hey guys, this is former Hawkeye Jake Gervais inviting you to the 5th annual Rally for Reed football camp.
Go, run, run, run.
This year's 5th annual Rally for Reed football camp will take place on Friday, June 27th at Jack and Pat Bush Stadium at Davenport Assumption High School. Come learn the game of football from several familiar faces.
1, 2, 3, go, Jack!
All while honoring the life and legacy of Reed Gleason and also raising money for the Rally for Reed Foundation and the continued fight against pediatric cancer. There will also be a spirit camp the same day hosted at St. Ambrose University. To sign up or get involved, check out rallyforreed.org and make a donation or sign up for the camp. Thanks.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. As we mentioned several times this week, high school football season will be here before we know it. And out at Sherrard, there's a brand new head football coach and a very familiar face when it comes to high school football here in the Quad Cities. We're joined now by former Moline head coach and now new Sherrard head coach, pending board approval, Dan McGuire. Hey, Coach, I appreciate you doing this. How does that sound again, to be a head coach in front of your name once again?
It sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Obviously, of course. When you look at this situation, kind of talk about your journey, because it's been a little bit since you've been on the sidelines as a head football coach. What led you to wanting to get back in the game this year at Sherrard?
Sure. So certainly a fair question. I guess in my younger years as a teacher and coach, I enjoyed both immensely. Thought I would spend my career as a teacher and a coach. Coached multiple sports, but certainly football was my love. And coached it for 25 years, worked very hard at it, tried to perfect the profession, enjoyed working with the kids, different, certainly type of relationships you develop with kids as a coach versus in the classroom, and the connections that you're able to make and the impacts hopefully that you're able to make. Enjoyed it. You think you have control of your life and you have your life planned out, and you find out that's not necessarily always true, that there's a higher being that has some say in that. So I coached through the 2000 season as a head coach, having served 10 years at Moline as a head coach, and after 25 years of coaching. But I came down with kidney cancer. It made me realize during that time that I was spending a lot of time away from my own personal family. My wife and I had 4 kids. One was just 6 months old, and the others were early elementary school. And so in reflection of all of that, I decided to step away from the football because I'm an all or nothing type of guy. And total commitment to what I'm doing. I've always been that way. So I stepped aside, possibly looking at maybe in an assistant or something like that, but trying to stay in the game. But immediately I was snatched up by the Moline School District as an administrator, and I did that for the following years of my career, ending up as the principal at Moline High School. Who'd have thought they would hire a dumb football coach to end up being the principal as well? And I enjoyed that, working with the staff as well as the kids and the student athletes and all that. So I got a different perspective of things in that role. But, I retired. And since then, I've been helping out as needed by different districts, more in the administrative role. But I've had different conversations the last few years about individuals being interested in me potentially getting back on the gridiron and sort of rekindled some of my thoughts and feelings about that. Again, even as an administrator, going out to practices or the ball games and so on, it never really left me. I enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, my son, who played for Moline, I had always thought that I would have coached him as well. That didn't work out, but he played at Moline, and then through injuries and so on, he wasn't able to play anymore, but he ended up being a grad assistant and an intern at Michigan State, where he went to school. So for 9 years, I traveled to Michigan State. After our high school football Friday night games, I'd drive to wherever Michigan State was playing, averaging 10 games a season for 9 years for Michigan State games and going to their bowl games and so on. So again, great for me to be able to see my son, as well as the fact still living and breathing some of that football and witnessing some of that. So it's never left my blood, I guess.
Yeah.
So this opportunity, I look forward to it. Having the experience this year, helping out at Sherrard, I got to witness what a outstanding district it is. I was fortunate to be able to work with a caring staff that was dedicated, as well as great students. They've got a great student body. I enjoyed working with them, and this opportunity opened up, and it seemed like a dream come true.
You mentioned it. How does the conversation start? Is it one of those things, and when Coach Johnston steps down, is it one of those things that you're interested? Are they interested in you? How did it all come about? Because it's been a minute, obviously, but you could tell that passion was still there, and it's something that obviously you wanted to continue to do.
Well, I don't want to get into the intricacies of the whole thing, but to be honest with you, I try to not read the news a lot or watch the news with today's events and stuff like that. I enjoy working in my yard. Like I told Alex Johnson, the new to be principal, there's so many different ways you can make lines in your yard and your grass and all that. And I got pretty good at it, but I mean, it's certainly not as fulfilling as working with kids. But I was notified that the position was open by somebody in the district and asked if I had interest. And I certainly was willing to talk, and it led to where we are now.
Coach, you had a lot of success at Moline High School, and you're in 25 years. So what does it look like at Sherrard? What does it look like? And we kind of talked a little bit earlier. I believe it. I know you believe it. Kids are still kids. Football's still football. What's it look like under Dan McGuire moving forward at Sherrard?
Well, first, the understanding that football's not an easy sport. It's pretty demanding, and the commitment has to be there, and the dedication by individuals involved, coaches as well as the athletes. So I don't believe that part of me has changed as far as the expectations of myself and the student athletes. We'll work hard. I know the game has changed somewhat. My son laughs at me when we talk football sometimes because he's used to the Michigan State passing game and all this type of stuff. I was, as a coach, probably a run first and pass second. We did throw the ball, but nothing like you see today. So the game's changed, but I think fundamentally the basics and the fundamentals are still there. That hasn't changed. And I think that was, I think something that we believed in when I coached. It was something that the 3 Hall of Fame coaches that I worked under over the prior years believed in and instilled in me as well. The blocking and tackling and things like that. Being good citizens on, individuals on the field as well as off the field, having those type of expectations as student athletes, making sure that we're doing the right things.
Coach, you mentioned the influences in your coaching career. Can you talk about that a little bit and who helped form who you are as a head coach and a really good head coach for so many years, especially at Moline?
Well, first, I think it goes back even to my days as a student at Alleman. My senior football program had not been good for quite some time. Matter of fact, my senior year was the first winning season that Alleman had in 12 seasons. So we prided ourselves in working hard, and it's something that instilled in me that regardless of all our differences as a team, you have to put those differences aside, come together and work for one common goal and purpose, regardless of, whether you're rich or poor, or racially or religiously or, whatever it is, how you're different. You have to come together and realize that, hey, we're going to work and focus on one common goal as a team and respecting each other and striving to help make each other better. So that helped me there. I guess really the first big coaching job I was able to get was at Belleville-Althoff. They've had an outstanding program for a while. The year before I started, they had just won the state championship, and they brought me in as the defensive coordinator. Glenn Schott had won over, during my time, 300 games as a football coach, well respected and so on at that time. And he taught me about the hard work and all the things that go on behind the scenes that people don't realize that you have to put in to make things work, as well as caring for the athletes, not just as athletes, but as individuals, and trying to lift people up and make them better. So that helped. From there, I went to Rock Island for a season under Bill Burris, and every year's been a learning experience, and gained some things from there. And Bill was tremendous. And matter of fact, once I got into the administrative part of things, I was an assistant. After being an assistant football coach for him at Rocky, I was his assistant principal at John Deere Middle School, and he assisted me when I became the head football coach at Moline. And then a few years later, I became his assistant at the high school. And then eventually I replaced him as principal at the high school. So we sort of tagged along there for a period of time, helping each other in whatever role we were in. And so I learned a lot from Bill. And then, Bruce Arnold is the one that brought me to Moline initially. And I was the defensive coordinator at Belleville-Althoff, and we would play Belleville West. And Bruce was the head coach at Belleville West. So it was sort of a natural flow for me to, I guess, leave Alleman, which I skipped, but I worked with Mike Tracy at Alleman for 3 seasons after Rock Island. And I think a lot of people know Mike and respect Mike also. Mm-hmm. It's trying to get things to be as perfect as you can and having those high expectations of individuals as well as yourself and trying to do things the right way, again, on and off the field. So learned a lot from him. So again, Glenn Schott at Belleville-Althoff, the Hall of Fame coach, Mike Tracy at Alleman, and then Bruce Arnold was a Hall of Fame coach as well, with my first year at Moline, where I was the head sophomore coach, and Bruce was the head coach there for 1 year, and then I replaced Bruce for the following 10 years as the head coach.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty proud of what we did over those 10 years. The kids worked hard. We had great kids. They were committed. And just, great memories of those kids. And it's, I guess I'm most grateful to see that they're all, the ones that I stay in contact with, are doing well. Many of them having families and moved on in their lives, and they're not youngsters anymore. But I still consider them, my guys. But we worked hard. We spent a lot of time trying to do the right things. Kids dedicated themselves in the weight room in the off season and doing the things we asked of them. And so they had, over those 10 years, 10 winning seasons. There were 2 years we were 5-4 and did not make the playoffs. The other 8 we did make the playoffs. But those 2 years where we were 5-4, by today's standards, they'd have qualified for the playoffs as well. So that would have been all 10 years. But the biggest challenge, I guess, was the conference. And I think Vic Boblet at Rock Island at the time, and Mike Tracy at Allman, and then at UT, and us and the other coaches, it was a pretty competitive conference. And we won the conference 4 of those 10 years. But if we hadn't won it, we were, in second. So we were always right there competing for things. And that's what I try to instill in people, from the first play to the last play, regardless of the score, give everything that you've got.
Coach, you look at and in 2000, when you're getting done at Moline, that's kind of when I started covering sports in the Quad Cities, getting out of college. And it was different back then, just with I remember going to do high school football previews, and I had all day to do it because they'd practice in the morning and then they'd practice at night and 2-a-days, and it was easier. And now towards my last couple of years covering it, it's different. There's more regulations, there's less time out there, all those kind of things as well. How different will that be? Because things have changed. The football's the same and all those kind of things, but things are a little bit different when it comes to how much you can have them, how much you're out there, those kind of things.
Right. And I think those changes are a good thing. But to be honest with you, when I was coaching, we did expect a lot out of the coaches because they were there as well, and the student athletes. Our summer camp was the first Monday, and kids knew it, first Monday after the 4th of July, and we went through the end of July because you had to stop August 1st. So we got a good month in of camp, which was from 8 to noon, 4 hours a day. And kids would bring their lunches, and we'd take a little break in between, and then we get back out there, and you had your offense, you had your defense in, you were ready to go that first game. Like you would maybe today at mid-season.
Yeah.
So now you have that 20-day limitation, but I think that's good. Puts everybody on a level playing field as far as that goes. Allows kids to be kids. There are other things, certainly jobs, their families, vacations, and things such as that I think we have to value. And to be honest with you, as I look back on my career and coaching and stuff, sometimes I regret that I wasn't able to take that family vacation because my summer was tied up. We may not have been out there in June with the kids, but we were working as coaches, or we were in the weight room and doing those kind of things too. So I think, family time, if you're able to get that, and do other sports, other activities, have your job, and things like that are important.
Dan McGuire, the new Sherrard football coach, joining me right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. A couple more for you, Coach. I envision you going to your basement and pulling out like a playbook and going, whew, and like dust goes flying everywhere, and then you open it up. And that's obviously know what's going on, but what will the offense look like? What will it look similar to the things that you wanted to do at Moline? How will it be tweaked and kind of talk a few X's and O's? Don't give away too much, but what will it look like at Sherrard when it comes to what you want to do on the field?
First, I'd say, people know me, but those people that know me probably are retired. So you've got a younger group of coaches coming in, and I'm sure they'll probably go back and look at a little bit of film or whatever they can get their hands on. But, you know, we were, like I stated, more of a run pass second type of team. And that part of the game has changed. I know, again, with my son at Michigan State, with all the passing and the gun and everything else, it's pretty much standard today, giving me bits and pieces over those years and things like that. I mean, I've already reached out to drop a name here, Kevin Gorgel, who was a longtime assistant for me, who's still at Moline. He asked about me dusting off the playbook. I actually have given that stuff up. I took 10 years of game films from Moline and gave it to the Moline M-men for historical purposes for the kids, and all that people are copying or whatever else for their benefit. My playbooks, I've shared with coaches that I coached with as well as other people since I've been out, to where it got to be when I started looking for that stuff, it wasn't to be found. So I just met my Kevin up at Moline High School this afternoon to get one of my old playbooks that I'd given him, to be able to go back and do that. But it's going to be a mix of probably some of that. I don't know how the quarterbacks will feel getting under center when they were used to shotgun. I will tell you, I believe it was 96 or so, I was the head coach in the Illinois High School Coaches All-Star game down in Peoria. And Vic Bob was one of my assistants, which I enjoyed immensely. I gave him 2 wide receivers because I'm running my offensive playbook. I gave him 2 wide receivers and told him go stand out there by the sideline the entire week of practice, so he wasn't getting all the intricacies of our offense and stuff. But in doing that, I had quarterbacks out of Chicago that had many yards throwing the ball, but really didn't run the ball much. They threw it or they handed the ball off. And so I asked them how they feel about getting under center and taking a snap, and their eyes got real big, thinking they're going to die. And they were going to be college players. They had already signed and were committed to colleges and stuff like that. But over the course of the week, they were running the option. And they had a great time, something they had never experienced. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure we'll get under center some, and I'm sure we'll probably do some shotgun and throwing the ball as well. And trying to look like I'm up to date with what's going on in the world of football today. So
absolutely.
We'll see.
Have you gotten phone calls? I know it's not been a while. It's not been very long, but have people reached out, old players? You mentioned Kevin Gorgel, that goofball. Obviously, and what's the feedback or what are you hearing? Have you called Coach Tracy and Coach Boblet and said, let's go, boys, find a team, let's do this? Or what's the reaction been about from some of the coaches and friends that you have in the football world?
Well, I think, everything I've received again, being retired and so on, it's sort of nice. You're out in your backyard and you're pulling the weeds and mining to the garden and stuff like that. Nobody bothers you. So the phone started buzzing this afternoon and hasn't let up. I had to turn it off for this. And it's good, but it also creates a little bit of anxiety where, you got to get back in the saddle again and get going. And certainly we all have high expectations and want things to go well, but it's all been positive. Have I spoken with some of those coaches? I'm not going to answer that, but certainly I have high regard and respect for both of them as well as other people that I coached against.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One more for you before we let you go. I want to bring it back to Sherrard because it's been a great year at Sherrard, and I've loved where the football program has been going. The wins might not have been there, but the competitiveness was getting there, in my opinion. And then you look at the basketball team, and baseball did fantastic, and softball's done well. Talk about that school district. It's someplace that you were at this past season. You knew you had some knowledge of it, but obviously, if that wasn't the right fit, you wouldn't be doing this. So what is it about Sherrard that makes it that right fit and a perfect opportunity for you to get back in it one more time?
Well, like I've mentioned, I think they have great kids, great attitudes that I witnessed and seen. And over the course of the years of all the schools I've been at, kids are kids. For the most part, I've never met a student as a coach, as a teacher, as an administrator, as a disciplinarian. I've never met a student that did not want to have success or did not want to have a good life and so on. And I think it's our responsibility to, wherever they're at in their life and whatever they're dealing with, to try to help them meet that and achieve what they're capable and reach for their dreams and their hopes. And I think the kids at Sherrard, from what I've seen, are no different from that, but they also show the caring and respect of one another that I appreciate and understand. And I'm going to extend them that same respect, and we're going to try as a team to be focused on one unifying purpose and goal, get back to the basics, and try to do things the right way.
Last one, I promise. I keep on coming up with other ones. The real head coach of your family, your wife, did she sign off on this? The technician of the family as well, as we know, because we wouldn't be doing this without her.
Right.
How was that conversation? Obviously, she signed off on it as well. How excited is she to see you get to have one more go at it?
Well, I think, like I mentioned earlier, when I was coaching, we were just starting a family and then had four kids, all young and so on. She took a big piece of that on parenting and so on, because, after a full day of teaching, I'd be in the weight room or doing things, and then the season. And when I wasn't coaching or watching film, I'm out scouting and things like that. The commitment that it took, it put a lot on her plate. And as she and I talked today, she was able to do that. And now our kids are grown. We still have one here, but we have two that live in Chicago, and our oldest daughter lives in Dublin, Ireland, which we just got back from. Regardless of how old they are, they're still your kids, and you still care about them and check in on them, make sure they're doing all right.
Absolutely.
But less responsibility on our part and her part. So she said she withstood that and was able to manage. So she's all in.
Yeah, this time's going to be easy. She can enjoy it a little bit more this time. So,
Yeah.
Coach, I appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun. I could talk a lot longer with you, but I know you got to run as well. So best of luck. Enjoy the heck out of it, and I guess get to work. Next time I'll be talking to you, I'll be talking about wins and losses, and that's a good thing. So I appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Awesome. That is Dan McGuire, former Moline coach and now head football coach at Sherrard. We wish him the best of luck heading up this fall. We got more to get to on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, a Friday edition. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Saturday night, June 14th, the Steamwheelers face off against the Parade in an IFL battle that's going to rock the vibrant arena. And it's digital bobblehead night presented by XUSD Blockchain. All fans in attendance with an active MetaMask digital wallet will score a limited edition.
Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday and Grammy Award-winning Zach Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to OTA on a Friday here in the Quad Cities, and a good Friday it is. The weekend is upon us. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Friday as well. If you guys are watching live on YouTube, we appreciate that. X has been great as well, so we thank you for that as well. If you missed some of the shows this week and you have nothing to do this week, he is a Muscatine native. Really good dude. Great journey to the NFL. Go check that out. Jake Gervais was on this week. Tim O'Neill, Pat Angerer, you name it. Bam Postelnik, the Alma girls soccer team after winning a sectional. Madison Austin, the Don Morse Award winner. Much, much more. We want to thank our guests from today. Tom Kakert talking schedule reveal, or at least kickoff time reveal for half of the games yesterday, what it means. Also, some interesting stuff when it comes to basketball. How much Iowa has spent, how much they have left to spend. Will they add more to the roster? All those kind of things. Really interesting stuff from Tom Eagle, so go check it out if you missed that. We also want to thank Andrew Lehman for stopping by. 33 days until the John Deere Classic. Media Day is on Monday. A great time of year. We talked about the exemptions that are coming to the John Deere Classic and much more with him. And then also Dan McGuire, new Sherrard head football coach. Great to catch up with him. That was a ton of fun as well. So if you missed that, go check it out. Next week, we are efforting Illinois women's basketball coach Shauna Green. We're hoping to get her on the show next week as well, and a bunch more. So, again, no show on Monday. It's John Deere Classic Media Day. I'm going to be out there taking care of that kind of stuff, and yes, golfing as well. But we'll be back with a brand new show on Tuesday, and then, of course, throughout the week right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And we leave you, like we always do, with a look at our fantastic sponsors. We would not be able to get to do this each and every day without these fantastic sponsors. If you're interested in sponsoring Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, please reach out. We've got some businesses starting in the very near future as well. So please reach out if you're interested as well. But thank you to these five for allowing us to get to do what we do each and every day right here in the Quad Cities. Guys, have a great weekend. You've been watching and listening to a Thursday edition of